in the morning, wide awake for the day, and I say, what a morning.
Hello fellow dragons, it's Shane from Astral Dragon Gaming. Now, as a lot of you may have noticed, I'm kind of a Lego fanboy. It's a bit of a child in me that hasn't been crushed by the problems of being an adult that you just can't kill. So here we are at a brand new Lego game that is based once again on a movie. The same name, let's see what it did. So this is a review for the Lego Movie 2 video game. First off, I'm shocked at the size of the game as it downloaded onto Steam. When I saw the compressed file was like 5 gig, I started to wonder what had happened and braced myself for something awful. Yet, to my surprise, it was a very new and different. For a lot of people that have played and watched Lego games, you would be expecting detailed stuff with Lego sort of tacked on and strewn everywhere for places for a few minutes for playing all these bits and pieces. But after playing it for a few minutes in the very start, I was struck by something very familiar. After doing some tests and some basic sort of Lego physics that you usually play Lego games with, I actually came to the realization this is actually more like Lego World. And that's where it kind of got interesting, because the graphics in this is not based on the same sort of engine that is usually what occurs in Lego games. It's much different. It's much more defined as a Lego game because the world itself acts and reacts like Lego in Lego World, where the construction sort of spews out and gets constructed, and the world kind of deforms and reforms when you're in tight angled and places. You'll notice that the Lego bricks will kind of disappear, and it's a different way, and the shading and the shadows are much different from what a lot of people are used to with Lego games in the franchise, and the small scale of it is quite interesting. And vehicles on the other hand are a problem, but I'll talk about that in a bit. But the scale and the size of the worlds are great. They're sort of a square by a square sort of thing. They're nice, they're easily large, they're very big vistas and everything. And the one thing that they've really changed for the graphical level here is the things that they do. Like moving up and down vertically through the world is much different now. And a really big change is the boss battles themselves. The boss battles look fantastic. They're these kind of huge arena like Battle of the Colossus kind of things, where you're jumping around, and as you're moving around, the motion of it is fantastic. The feeling of scale is fantastic, and you feel like you're jumping on these huge beasts in order to do certain things, and I really do love that, and the graphic style sort of reflects that. But at the same time, the amount of pre-made rendered movie cutscenes had been reduced, and it's now a much more refined and different game in comparison to what it was originally. Now we'll have a listen to the sound music and I'll get back to you in a minute.
Great! Now jump on board and head around to the back of the Citadel.
Music-wise, it's pulled from the movies, and it's like all good movie tracks, it's done well. The identical music and boss music and battle music and everything like that has the right time to fade into the background and is great for each of the levels. Most of the music is great, but some of the levels will grind your will to live right out of you over time with repetitive techno beats that should not be exposed to anyone's eardrums. It's horrifically bad, but it's not very often, which is thankful, but it does happen at some levels. I will warn everyone very quickly, if you go to the Hello Kitty world, I would suggest cutting the music because Unikitty's world is, yeah, and I meant Unikitty back then, and it's really not an enjoyable sound structure. But that being said, it's probably the only one that's really, really bad. There are some others that will pop up, but mostly they don't cause much problems. Voice is done extremely well. The voice is actually quite limited in this game in comparison to many other LEGO games since they introduced voice and started doing a lot of movie franchise sort of jumps. And it's all been done for this game, a lot of the acting and a lot of the voices and everything. You won't get it for every single part of it. You will get it for the basic main quest line and some of the mini quests that you have to complete in the process, but a large proportion of the voice has been limited to simple basic things. Most of the game is just you playing the game, which is a really good sort of thing. Now, as we continue on, there are some wonderful things that they've done with the sound itself. The sound is nice, it's beefy, it's very comical, it's very much a nice, simple thing. The only real thing I have a sort of picking point with is the guns at times will not always have the punch that they need to have, which is a bit of a bummer because I really like the LEGO games. But to follow that up, the sound of vehicles, the sound of swords, clubs, melee weapons are really meaty in their impact, and the explosion of Legos and the destruction of the environment when you're destroying things is still the same LEGO game and that same wonderful sound. And also the fantastic sound of when you're constructing something at lightning speed. That is always a must-have for any LEGO game, and if they could just market that one sound, I think it would be the one that everyone would always enjoy whenever something's getting made. Like making breakfast. LEGO sound. It's one of those sort of childish sounds that you imagine that when someone builds something really fast, and it really sort of sells this game in that respect. Now onto the gameplay and the story. Unlike the first LEGO movie game, where all the movie sequences were sort of cut and spliced into the game, and that was how you viewed the game and everything, this one is not that same way. It is much different and it's much like the original LEGO games where you had LEGO Batman, Pirates of the Caribbean, and LEGO Star Wars, where there's a lot more actions and emphasis on the characters' reactions, what they're doing, the things in the background, the sound effects they make, the sound effects that are happening. That is much bigger and more pronounced in this version, as opposed to the other times where it got lazy and it started relying on the voice actors giving structure to the LEGO games. And I'll get on my soapbox and I'll say it right now. The most enjoyable thing that always endeared all LEGO games to me when they first started doing them was the way that the people at Traveller's Tales could convey an idea, a thought, a comedy or anything through the simple actions of the LEGO people itself. That was what made them such a fantastic sort of thing, and it was much better, it was much more pronounced, it was much more enjoyable than opposed to the other way around. But that's how they did it, and that's how they decided to do it. And now there's kind of a fallback to the change and going backwards. There are huge changes in this game compared to the previous LEGO game, which I think from memory was a
I've been
Marvel,
looking for you
no,
everywhere.
a DC game. There has been a big change because no longer is it that you have to go to specific parts of each world or specific parts of a
cool.
hub
You should
world.
be able to use
You
these to
have
discover
an
new
entire
builds.
galaxy once you finish the first sort of Apocalypse, which is Apocaberg, which is the destroyed version of Bricksburg, which was destroyed by the alien creatures, which are all made out of Duplo. And this entire sort of our ability outside the galaxy.
Good
So
job
what actually
discovering that
happens is that
bouncer.
you'll go to your
Now,
character
try
selection,
building it
which is
here using
usually
your
triangle
building
or
page.
Y on a controller, or I think it's I on a PC if you're using the keyboard, usually. And you have this sudden ability to choose your character,
Nice.
refit
You
your
can
character
now
with
build
whatever
my
items
super
you've
sweet
discovered in
bouncer.
the process,
Time for some high-flying
put
moves.
any items that you've discovered into their hands, or pick up one of the super items if you've managed to get one of those, and so on and so forth. And you can actually construct things in the world, but you need to have the right coloured bricks in order to construct things in the world. And that is really a big sort of change from the regular Lego games, giving you access to all the tools without having the problem that you had in the beginning where you would be limited by these things.
Some objects
But
can only be
now,
seen by
as
using
you progress
special
through the
items.
game, you pick
Let's see
up
what we can
new
find.
tools and allowing you to expand your repertoire of being able to do things. And if you have one favourite character in any of the Lego games itself that you like, you can have that one character and you can play just that character. It's fantastic. You can use that one character and they can do everything. So gone are the specific flying type, the specific I can beat up certain objects, and the specific sort of tropes that were in most of the Lego games where you kind of got locked in and you only used specific characters to finish off a level, or you were waiting until you unlocked this particular character to be able to go back and unlock all the other things in the other level. No, that is not the case now. Now you have to go through the storyline completely, collect all the items to enable you to complete all the different parts of the game, and go on and progress further. It's really a fantastic design, and I love how it's been done. And I love also the ability to just build objects, build vehicles, build certain things in the world. And when you get to one particular world where you have to rebuild the entire thing, you collect building plans so you can build buildings itself on the world. It's a really enjoyable and much more scoped out version. And again, it's pulling on the details from Lego World and applying it in a game fashion where there is a direct story narrative that feels fantastic and everything. Now, I'll get down to the gripey section where things that really kind of upset me and will annoy some players. The main thing that will probably get most people is the ground vehicles. Ground vehicles are very neutered in this game. They are slow, they are clunky, they have a turning speed of, instead of a dime, they have a turning speed of something in the realm of, let's say, a small planet. They are really difficult to turn around fast at times, and that's another thing, speed. No one's expecting a Sonic game. No one's expecting you to travel at Mach 5. You're not the Flash, you're not travelling in Iron Man's armour or anything like that, but you still expect to be a level of speed, where the racing games in this will now turn into something more like driving Miss Daisy. They are horrendously slow, and the flying vehicles have equally got the same problem. They're not that bad because when you're flying around, you're basically trying to get from A to B and fast shooting other places to collect more master bricks to expand your collection so you can unlock other worlds and stuff like that. But it really kind of gripes at you. The other thing is that land vehicles can be stopped by a row of bricks. And we're not talking tall bricks, we're talking little minuscule bricks. So if you're trying to go up a ramp, you can be stopped straight on flat. And it just doesn't make any sense. Like, the character itself can jump out and probably run almost the exact speed that the vehicle can do at top speed. It's ludicrously, ugh, unbelievably wrong, and it just grates on your nerves. If you had someone like the Flash and you're travelling at Mach 3, yeah, that would make sense, the difference between a vehicle and a person. But a normal character, doesn't matter if it's Emmett, Wildstar, Batman, or Benny, or anyone, even the Flash itself is so slow. And I think it was designed for someone that was a child in mind, because children are going to see this movie and children are going to play this game. But I don't think children should be subjected to something that in one respect is much better and in other respects is kind of pandering to them, because the boss battles are not easy. They're a very difficult thing, but you know, these are really minor gripes and you can get around them and whatnot, but it's kind of annoying at times when you're playing certain things. The other thing that you will have to be aware of, and especially if you're playing on PC, because the consoles don't usually suffer as much from the bugginess of LEGO games itself, is that at points you may get stuck, or worse yet, you may get into a boss battle, get stuck at another point in the boss battle where you have no access to the path to complete the battle, and you have to restart the game. Now with the PC, you had to restart and change some of the graphic settings, otherwise you would get stuck in the same loop and you couldn't get around it. LEGO games are like Minecraft in many respects. They get bogged down after long playing sessions, and it's very difficult to get past some of the parts of it. And it's a tragedy at some points, and it's part and parcel of playing a LEGO game, because there's so many moving parts, and at the same time you're trying to get all the moving parts
That should help you
sort
get
of
up
working
onto
at
the
the same
statue
time.
and reach
It
the
may
lookout
get patched
point.
out and may get fixed up, because a lot of LEGO games in recent times have been fixed quite regularly, and whenever they come out with DLCs, the DLCs kind of fix some of the simple problems that were with the game itself. Having played every LEGO game to date, I can say that the improvements on the collectibles, the various story, the mini games that are scattered across the world, it's really good. I enjoyed it. I loved a lot of bits and pieces. Like, the story can be done in 7 hours, but the grindy section of it can get very annoying at points, and it's kind of, especially when you've got to go around each individual world and scan multiple items or collect enough sort of special items to unlock at the stores to get free items, and they're all done at random, and character models are done at random as well, so you're never sure if you're going to get all of them or you're still going to have to go collect more and whatnot. That gets better when you unlock the very last world that's available at the moment, because you can get all the gold sort of items that you want. If you want to know the true story of that, play the game or go look at the secrets unveiled in YouTube if you feel that way inclined. For a completionist sort of idealism, you're probably looking at 15 to 20 hours, maybe 25 depending on how you play it. I really am sort of ready for the DLCs and the storylines that's going to open up. And I'm kind of suspicious how this game ended, because it ended, but at the same time there are sort of clicking over points in my brain that say that wasn't the real ending. And I've been playing the game to try and find a different ending, but there is nothing yet. So we'll wait and see what the end result of that is. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the review. Like again, this is a game for LEGO fans and for probably kids that have played or watched the movie and go, oh, I want to play a LEGO game, and here's a game purely made for them. For other people that are interested or just want to have a play of it, I'd wait around for the sales, because on PC it drops quite drastically and fast over a period of time, and on consoles by mid-year you'll probably find it cheaper again anyway. So other than that, please come back and watch my videos again. Come and see my new work whenever you've got time, and if you want to stick around for a longer time and comment down below, hit the subscribe button, because it really helps me out, because you know, I like to talk to more people about more games. And hitting that like button means that I know I've done a good job. If you hit the dislike button, I know I've got to improve on some things. But also, if you hit the like button, believe it or not, it kind of boosts me into the YouTube algorithm. God knows how that is. But who knows these days. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you all on the next video. Thank you, and bye for now.